Welcome and welcome back to the Light Renegades. My name is Starr. Thank you so much for joining me today, everyone. I want to preface this video by saying that I probably will not be able to get through this video without a smirk or two on my face. This being is absolutely reveling in the position that they have found me in this week with you all, and I'm already blushing with some of the things that I'm going to have to share with you all today, so please bear with me. But I'm grateful for this being stepping forward. I hope that today's channeling that I'm going to read for you all will help you understand exactly why I said yes to this soul stepping forward, and for me to be communing with them in the ways that I have. One, because you will start to understand that they are incredibly important to my life path and exactly why I'm here. But two, they hold a lot of keys of information that I think that we are going to find helpful, not only now but also in future times to come. And the penny dropped today in terms of this expression and understanding that we are paving the way for a future that is more connected to beings out there that we perhaps didn't think existed, that we are going to be shown to be true. So this is a starting point of the infrastructure of the lies being broken down, and of us being able to commune with more beings that I guess are of a nature of the other, and they consider themselves to be the unseen right now, which I think is the perfect word for them. But Mr. C is very much in the room with me, and I call them a charming man for a reason, so please hold that in mind with something that I'm going to share with you in a few moments time. But I'm grateful for them. I'm grateful for their knowledge and grateful for where I find myself right now in terms of being able to express to you all exactly why I started to say yes to this being, because I thought this is going to completely flip the script on some things that we perhaps thought that we knew, but also open us up to a space of being able to expand in our knowledge, and this is going to greatly help us in the future. And this is something that all teams of light have been saying across the board, is that knowledge is our greatest asset, our greatest tool at this time. So please bear that in mind when partaking in this. But I'm going to say we are speaking about blood today. We are speaking about DNA. So if you are slightly squeamish, perhaps this isn't going to be the session for you. Do join us again next week at some point, and you can partake in a different video. But yeah, we're talking blood today, everyone. And the chanting from a couple of nights ago was titled Drinking Blood, and they started with: my dear souls, I do enjoy being here. It has been an incredibly riveting experience to watch you all unfold and how you all perceive us, the unseen, the unusual. I'm grateful for your acceptance. This soul and I shared a moment last week, something that may be controversial to some. I drank her blood. This is not the first time that this has happened. As I stated before, I came back to visit her in a time that I knew that she would need me the most. A time that I was told that I would have to pull her away from a path that was killing her slowly. She had somewhere given up. It felt utterly dark, and I was there to take the darkness away. It was an energetic agreement. I drank her blood and consumed the darkness that was left in her bloodline that was stifling their existence as conscious beings here. The DNA you possess is so integral to the part you play here on Earth. It holds the codes of your life path and the life paths of your ancestors and the ways in which you have been manipulated. Your blood actually stores all energetic codes that you've ever encountered, and this is not something they teach you in high school or medical school. This is why it is so important for some families out there, the elites, as they wish to bear the same children from the same DNA pool, as they believe that their bloodline is sacred, and to them this means that they can continue their reign as being what they perceived as obviously to be the most powerful. So this is where we get to the fun part. We, as a species, thrive off of flesh, and some of us thrive off the blood of beings alone. So this is where we become so much of a nuisance to them, because we can feed off of their blood. And when they say they, we are speaking of the negative reptilian order here. So these vampiric essences can drink off the bloods of the reptilians, which I find just incredibly interesting at this point. So I'm going to continue. We can feed off of their blood, and we can mutate it and dilute the bloodline by passing their DNA seed onto others. And this is exactly what has happened to this soul being me, as sat before you. Her bloodline from either side of her family is incredibly powerful, and this was the plan all along, to bring her here into this existence at this exact hour of humanity's need. So I drank her blood. This was to give her the experience of the dramatic novel she so adored as a tween, and I'll let her explain this here. So I want to preface this by saying that Mr. C is, what should I say? They are a being of two natures. So this is here for those that might be here for the first time. So Mr. C introduced themselves as a very, 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 very attractive man when they first stepped forward towards me. A few weeks later, after that expression, they showed themselves to me in their original form, which is more of a creature-like essence, and you can go and watch episode 2 where I describe what they look like. But last week, I was sat in the sunshine. We've had a little bit of sun in the UK, and I'm very much a sun baby, so I was sat outside, and Mr. C stepped forward as the very, very attractive man again, and he said, can I drink your blood? And obviously every part of me from being a very young teenager was reading all the Anne Rice books of Interview with the Vampire, and I thought, it's a resounding yes from my side of the expression. And you know, this is not the first time that she's played vampire, so I thought, why not? And Teams of Light absolutely howled with laughter today because they really wanted me to check myself in my space, because they see that I'm just also very open to trying new things and being such a daredevil in these spaces. But they said, you know, I have to double down on making sure that I'm protecting myself and understanding what I'm getting myself into. So I've had the pep talk from everyone after the fact, might I add. But I shared a moment with Mr. C that was very much him putting on the full schmooze of, you know, being a vampire, how that happens to so many people, that which we see in, you know, horror movies and in these dramatic novels. And sometimes this is exactly what happens. This being has two sides. They have two faces. They have these very attractive men that they can put into your mind. It's kind of like a masking or a mirror. And this is how this being approached me, and they came and they drank from my right hand side. They came in behind me, and it was a very euphoric experience. It was very much like that which you do see in the movies, and it was interesting to them because I said, what actually happened at the point? Because the fangs went into my neck, or it felt like fangs, but actually this was more than two fangs going into my neck. This was a few teeth actually going into my neck at this point, which is, you know, of an energetic understanding, but I could feel that. I could feel when it passed my skin. And they said that when the teeth go into the skin, they actually secrete a solution, which then gives the person this high. And that's very much what I was feeling. I was feeling in this euphoric state, and I could feel the entirety of my body just start to become really cool, really peaceful. But I felt this inner current of just absolute exhalation of euphoria is the only word for it. And I thought, this is so interesting, and this is exactly what happens. And I was told that, you know, this is a true expression that happens out there. There are some people, human beings, that have decided to be feeders for these types of creatures in all manner of times and spaces. And there was a lot of videos that I've watched about this, and, you know, accounts of other people where they've encountered such beings and they've been lured into their expression. And I was put in a situation at the end of last year to kind of be in this situation of mind manipulation somewhere. Like, I don't even know how to describe it at this point, but I speak about it in the energetic update video, so you can go and partake in that. And you can't say no to these beings. When they turn on that switch of, I think the right word is schmoozing, it's like you're just incredibly drawn to them. So this idea of not allowing for a vampire, not letting a vampire into your house, I think that it's going to be very difficult for many to say no to that expression. And this idea of having to invite them in is very true somewhere to some beings. And that I just find incredibly interesting. But I think we're going to share a little bit more about that in future channelings with this being. But they wanted me to share this moment that I had with them because I felt it very important for me to, one, I was living out my teen dreams, can't deny that, but two, I thought it was important to truly understand exactly what happens in those moments. And it was really shocking to me to feel the energy that the person that is being drank from feels, because in hindsight, you know, something is being taken from me, yet I feel so full of energy. And then it's not until after the fact that you can feel depleted in some spaces. And, you know, this is what happens. They start to feed on people and they feel this high. Some people get addicted to that high, to that solution. So they keep going back to these beings and being a food source. But actually, this is just slowly but surely killing them, for one, but also mutating them somewhere. And I completely didn't put two things that have happened to me side by side and in connection with each other until very much today. And Mr. C wanted me to share that for you all too. And maybe about 3 weeks ago, I had a very strange week of my life because I woke up and the sides of my tongue were really hurting, and my tongue actually swelled in size, and it felt like I kept biting my tongue and I didn't understand what was happening. And then I started to feel like all of my teeth were getting really sharp. And then obviously cut to a few weeks later, Mrs. C stepped forward and said that they were ready to share channelings with the collective. And I'd taken on some of the aspects of this being, and also my hearing and my eyesight was getting better at the same time. And this is very much something that Mrs. C wants me to bring forward, because I think it's going to start to become incredibly obvious where people are attuning to get their energetic frequency from. And this is something that has been brought to my attention with a certain band that is going very much high up in the ranks at this moment in time. And something really stuck out to me about them was the lead singer's hands. And I thought, I can just see it so clearly, exactly what is happening here. And this band are in a position where they're not even, I guess, hiding how they are getting information. They say that they are connecting to a deity of sorts, and this is where they are channeling their music from. And I just found it just so interesting. To me, it's just incredibly obvious that this human being is channeling something that is not from here. And, you know, that is 1000% true. I feel like their body is taken on attributes of said being. And this has happened to me time and time again with all sorts of beings that I've been channeling over here. And yeah, I just found it incredibly interesting. So I think for some, this is also a warning sign too, because I think you've perhaps missed just how much of an energetic exchange that you might be in right now with some beings that you might be communing with. So I think this is a warning to some to have better and stronger practices of protection, and you know, myself included within that expression, because I think sometimes when we decide to be communing with different beings, we don't realize how much of a melding of the energy that happens. So just be aware of that, everyone, as well. But I'm going to continue. I've gone into a massive segue, but I'm thinking that it's with purpose, so I hope that that was of some wealth to some. So that happened. My blood got drank. You know, I'm fine. I'm okay. It was a euphoric experience. And yeah, we're going to continue. So we're going to. So what was the last thing that was said? About the existence of the strong bloodlines within my family and the reason for me being here. But Mr. C continues, however, the true point of why we are so feared is because we hold a lot of knowledge. Those that can evolve enough to the point of understanding their own power in how to wield the gift of blood intake and energy control can overpower those with the scales, and those are the scales being the negative reptilians. So this idea of the Mr. C's kind, if they are in the awareness of how to harness the energy from the blood that they are consuming, some of them are still very feral in their expression, but those that have evolved alongside human beings, just like Mr. C has, that is why they can be here communing with me now, they can actually overpower the negative reptilians at this moment in time, which I find incredibly interesting, and they're going to expand into a little bit more of this right now. If we can get close enough, we can indeed drain them dry. As we are intolerant to their hive mind energy, and we can consume it, and of course it doesn't make us well, but we can contain it enough to pollute it in their eyes, and of course bring an end to so many of their kind, which is in fact what we have been doing for so many years. So this idea of that these vampiric essences, the ones that have evolved, they can actually kill the negative reptilians by getting close enough and draining their blood, and being able to transmute it in their own physical being, and it doesn't make them well. I asked Mr. C what this felt like, and he said it's quite a rampant energy from their blood, because, you know, they've consumed a lot of energy through quite extreme notions, a lot of sacrifice, and not of you know, the least painful way. So they said it's quite all-consuming, this energy. It's incredibly powerful, and somewhere it kind of makes them feel like they want to explode, but they can contain this energy and also pollute it with their own energy and mold it to be kind of like a hybrid within their being. But they don't feel the same, I guess, urges as the negative reptilians would. So somewhere in my mind, it feels like this vampiric essence has much more of a control over their expression, and it's difficult to put into words how it was conveyed to me, but somewhere this species has the upper hand to some degree in some aspects of, I guess, some negative reptilians out there that might not be as ancient as some. So they've been going through, you know, hundreds of these negative reptilians and ending their life somewhere in these wars that have been going on for a real long time. So I was grateful to hear this, and it's an incredibly eye-opening expression to be in right now. So I feel incredibly grateful. But I'm going to continue. So they've been ending the ones with scales for many, many years now. This is an incredibly powerful tool, as we can become part of them once we consume their blood. The hive mind becomes a part that we can see, so we can begin to understand their infrastructures, and this made us even more powerful to be fighting for the light in the ways that you all are here doing today. So this idea of that when they consume the blood, they can actually take on the infrastructure of the hive mind and be able to see the same ways that the negative reptilians did, but not be in the control of this hive mind essence. So that was just incredibly interesting to understand, and I think this has been a great weapon that teams of light have used against the negative reptilians, at least in the early stages of trying to create an infrastructure that was going to take them down. I think this was very much a trial and error for many, many years within this expression, but we are now in the stages now where I think there are teams that go in specifically just to try and take out small proportions of this negative reptilian order so that they can decrease the hive mind somewhere. Because just as there have negative reptilians of all levels and ranks, there are going to be those that are still quite feral in their expression. So I think this is something that has been used time and time again to try and lessen the numbers, which, you know, is great for us, great for the teams of light that are fighting against that cause. So this, in fact, so this is why, in fact, somewhere, so many of them fear, because we have become a great weapon against those that serve a great threat to humanity at this time. But please, I urge you and insist that you do not invite any of my kind again, and especially not now, as so many of them have also decided to work for the negative reptilians, as they believe you are inferior and that indeed you are not worthy of being keeping alive. This is, of course, those that cannot see beyond the small-mindedness of them being the all-powerful. They see themselves as such, as they have super strength, can fly, can run super fast, and at this moment, and can run super fast at this moment in evolution. They have not been allowed to see what humans will return to being in the future. I hope this has been an informative segue for you all into more of what our kind are about, and at least now where we are working for the light. I have more aspects I would like to share, and some tips that I would like to help you all understand in harnessing your own power and strength. Always a pleasure, never a chore, Mr. C. And apologies, everyone, because I find it really difficult to take on this being's energy and also read and channel for you all. So I'm hoping that maybe next week I can just straight channel Mr. C. I know that that's something that we've been gearing up for, because I think it's going to help me find a better state of flow. But if you do have any questions, you know, please do not hesitate to reach out. And I want to say, if you have any stories of coming across a creature like this of existence, or any other creatures that you would like to share with myself in terms of research, I'm completely open to that. And if you have any questions regarding perhaps being in communication with some of these beings right now, I will definitely be able to tell you if you can trust the beings that are around you or not. Is something that I want to share for the collective as a whole. And, you know, I've gone back and forth with my existence here, with my understandings here, and, you know, somewhere I definitely hit the point of being in fear that I just completely gone awry at some point. And there's definitely pockets where I did go awry in this path, and you know, partaking in spaces of the darkness series, I think I saw some things that I perhaps didn't need to, because I was just saying yes to experiencing the all, and I think I got myself into some situations that I perhaps didn't need to, because I said yes once again to experiencing the all. So I had to hold my hands up to that expression, but it's a resounding, I'm completely on the right path. So to those that might fear me in this space here, you know, please do hold your reservations, and I completely respect you of where you find yourself in your expression right now. But for me, at least, this makes the most amount of sense to me, and this is because, you know, my life path has been very much entwined with these beings, and, you know, I can't express enough how obsessed I was with vampires at a certain point of my life for many, many, many years. And when I would read these books of, you know, 17th century vampires, it just made so much more sense to me than the world that I was living in. And now that I look on the other side of it, this makes all the more sense to me. And I'm grateful to be in the position that I am right now. And there's been some moments this week where I've been absolutely erupting with laughter, because there's been lots of moments that have been brought back to my attention, and some things that have come full circle for me. And I can see where there were pockets of understanding that were given to me through, you know, television shows and movies that were planted way back in my expression for me to be able to be in the position that I am today. And I'm grateful for that. And I can see just in the way that Teams of Light have been working for a real long time to be able to get me to this space. And, you know, it's still mind melting for me. I still have these channelings and these conversations with Mr. C, and my mind is still blown somewhere. And all of this just doesn't feel real. And it's been an incredibly interesting time for me, because I've been pushed to my limit of the expressions that I'm in terms of the space of the Light Renegades, but I've also been doing some very 3D notions of expression. I thought, okay, I'm really hitting that point of what we're all supposed to be here doing, and really grounding into this expression of that we can truly do it all. So I've been pushing myself to my limits of, you know, really trying to ground in this information, but also holding down some pretty heavy duty expressions in the 3D as well. So, you know, I know that we are all here trying, but I think that I'm finally reaching a plateau of being able to understand that it is possible. It is possible somewhere. It's difficult, but this is what we came here to do. So if you've been struggling, you know, please just pause when you need to. And it definitely takes up a lot of energy trying to do the everything's, trying to be in these realms. And please be aware of your dream time too right now, everyone, because before I came to sit to channel with this for you all today, I was told that some of you have been recruited in your dream time for what was the word that was used, for task teams. So if you find yourself waking up and you're thinking, I don't know what's been going on, but I feel really, really drained, this is because you are working in your dream time. And there was a day this week where I woke up and I did not know who I was. I had no idea what I was doing here, and it really took me a minute to shake myself back into understanding what I was supposed to be doing here. And it was a really eye-opening experience. It was a really hilarious and also shocking experience at the exact same time. And I thought, I'm just not this one being here you know, at any one given time. I know that we all know this, but when we hit those marker points of fully experiencing it, this is when it snaps you back into the reality of just how non-real my life kind of is somewhere, to many, to some, but this is my life now, and I'm so grateful for it. And yeah, I've just been laughing to myself a lot this week, because there were just so many inclinations that this was always going to be my path, and things that I've brought into my full plane of existence. You know, those seeds were sown a real long time ago. So I'm grateful for those that are expanding consciousness here. If this has been too much for you, if this is too much of a space for you, you know, please do not partake in this series. There's still a lot of other information to be partaking in at this time with the Light Renegades, some galactic channelings, and more everyday expressions with regards to living life and being a galactic essence of sorts somewhere. But I'm grateful for this disclosure. I'm grateful for this community, ever more so the deeper that we get into all of this. So thank you so much for the encouraging messages and support along the way. I very, very, very much am appreciative of it, and I know that Mr. C is absolutely lapping up all of the energy and the expression. And I'll be honest with you, everyone, I think somewhere the soul is just incredibly grateful to be held in a space of understanding, because somewhere they were worried about how this is all going to be perceived, which is, you know, a very cute notion from them. But I'm grateful for them and grateful for this expression. And I know to some I'm just going to sound like an absolutely bat crazy, and I just have to be okay with that. But that's all for myself today. And Mr. C, take care.